Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today with set number 75952, this is Newt's Case of Magical Creatures, containing 694 pieces and retailing for $49.99, which is a remarkably good looking price per piece. It contains 4 minifigures, all of which are exclusive, and, typical $50 box size. The box is a little bit damaged on my copy here, but I like the Fantastic Beasts logo and everything that they've got going on with the box design here. It shows all the figures on the top, like a traditional box, and on the back it shows you the individual beasts and accessories, as well as the little sections of the suitcase and how to transform it. One interesting thing to note is that on my copy, at least, we had 2 thumb tabs on a $50 box, which is just a little bit out of the ordinary. Usually we only get those on small sets, and there's not 1 but 2 instruction booklets included with the set. So upon building everything up, this is what you're left with here. We've got the suitcase in the back, as well as, unfortunately, right off the bat, you can't fit the creatures in the suitcase, which is kind of the limitation of working with physical objects. It's kind of impossible to master the art of making things bigger on the inside than on the outside. But, obviously, that was kind of to be expected going into it. It would have been awesome to get a suitcase large enough to be able to fit all the beasts inside, but, it's kind of an unreasonable expectation. First up, we have the Alchemy here, and I think they did a decent job with this for what it is. It's basically a sort of snake-like creature with wings. I think the wings are a little bit too far upwards. It should have a little bit longer of a neck, so like a couple more segments of that. But, for what this is, I think they did a pretty decent job with it without making it too ridiculously oversized. I guess they could have put the wings back here, but I think they look better in this position up here. And, you can change the articulation. You could make it straight up snake on the ground if you wanted to. You've got all these ball joints. The pose you saw at the beginning of this little clip here is what I think is the best pose to display this in, just because you kind of get the whole arched up sort of look there, and you can make it balance in that position, which is good. Well, you can also break it, I suppose. That's a possibility. But yeah, if you are careful with it, you can get it to balance in poses like this. If we distribute the weight right. Yeah, like that there. And, it's a little bit finicky, but especially if we were to put this on studs, it would work just fine. The head mold here is actually brand new to this set. They actually also use it for the Thunderbird included. But, it looks pretty good. The printing on there is really well done, with the silver and the purple, and there's room for 4 horns. They only use 2 of those slots on either of the ones in this set, but I guess they were planning ahead for the Hungarian horntail, which does end up using the same piece, and you also can open the jaw up. It's got the basically same design, or same kind of design as the Jurassic World dinosaurs, where it's got the open and it's got the close, and you can kind of get it to sit in the middle, but it'll want to snap up at the top or bottom. The wings are from elves originally, I believe, and I believe they're exclusive in this color still, but they're cool looking, and I like the use of all the mediums or tooth pieces throughout the build here. But yeah, this is a pretty decent look for the Alchemy here. It's a little bit less stable than maybe some people would like, but I think it's got a good amount of posability and really works for me. And the Rumpin, I think, is probably even more faithful to his on-screen appearance. Maybe the LEGO version here looks a little bit more rhino-y than the one in the movie, but regardless, I think it still looks good. You got the Trains Orange up there, which looks good. You got these eyes here, which are actually they're the same on either side, but I believe they're exclusive to this set. I believe they have not been reused. They may have been reused once, and I just don't remember, but I think that they're new here. This horn piece is actually new in that color as well, so that's cool. And you can rotate the head around. It's on a ball joint here. It's a little bit restricted by this up here, so you can't look upwards, which, I mean, in the movie it doesn't look upwards ever, but you can reach all the way down to the ground, and you can turn to the side just a little bit. Well, everything is breaking in in this video. And I played around with these animal creatures a little bit before the making of this video, and they, did not break nearly as much, but, I mean, I guess I'm just handling the two roughly or something. But you've got the front legs, which are actually on a ball joint, but they can't move inwards and outwards because of the way it's locked in there. And all of the feet are built up the same, and they're just on click hinges, so you can kind of get a little bit of a running pose, sort of, with these. And the back legs are just on Technic pins, and again, have the same foot articulation. So you can get all sorts of poses there, and they do also obviously include the appropriate Jacob figure to go with this from the scene in the movie. So, you can get it going here and kind of lean Jacob back if you wanted to, support him with his umbrella, and have the Erumpent getting a little bit too close for comfort. Last up for buildable beasts here, we have Frank the Thunderbird from the movie. It's probably the worst in terms of representing the creature from the movie, but I think that this build, regardless, looks really cool. The head mold doesn't quite do it for me. Yeah, it's got the beak part, and I think the printing on it is fantastic. I think they did a great job there, and I love that they got the gold to be the nice shiny metallic version. That looks great. I like it a lot. But just the back of the head, where they do try and represent these little horn or feather plumes or whatever they are, but just the way that those end up being placed because of the design of this piece, I don't know, it just doesn't quite come across for me. It also feels like the tan is a little bit too dark, and I think they needed something in between white and tan to perfectly represent what it's attempting to replicate. But that being said, I think that this still looks good as a build on its own. It's just when you're trying to compare it straight up to the movie version, it kind of falls flat just a little bit. Again, it's got the ball joint articulation just like the Alchemy did, and you can close its mouth up. The wings are really, really awesome. Again, I believe this mold originated from elves, but they got the metallic gold, and it's just really well painted on there. It's a good look, and I think that the wings of this are very impressive. You have some stickers on its back. You could, if you chose to, place a figure on the studs here and have someone riding the Thunderbird. That doesn't happen in the movie, I don't think. If it does, I don't recall it. But it's possible to do here in the Lego version. And the tail can be hinged up and down, and these kind of can flap around on the ends of these long plumes, which I don't know if it actually has the wings at the end of the long plumes in the movie. But so, like, I don't know, this feels a little bit exaggerated to me, but it's definitely there. And these wings, those are nice to get in there because these definitely do belong. And the legs have some claws built up pretty simply, and you can put the legs back really easily because this joint up here is a little bit loose because it's on a ball joint that's a Technic pin, and the Technic pin can freely rotate. But you do also have the ability to pose them side to side with the ball joints there, and it works out pretty well. There's no actual surface here aside from the claws, so for that being the case, it's actually pretty sturdy. And then the final build is the suitcase here, and it looks suitcase-like at first glance, and I think from this angle it looks pretty good. You have the handle up here, which you can move the handle up and down, or if you'd like. On the side, it's pretty plain looking. On the other side, we have a little bit of weird color showing through, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I don't think it's the end of the world, as this is just the exterior of a case in a set that has a large number of pieces and is just, for the most part, trying to use this suitcase form as just a gimmick for what's on the inside. This is the back of the case. It looks really plain, and if we were to turn the case on its side, from this angle here, it's a little bit weird, and you do have a gap in there. But, from a distance, at first glance, it looks pretty good. And from the outside over here, where we got the Muggle-worthy lock sticker there, as well as these two clasps, which aren't actually functional, but you can simulate opening them, and you got his Newt Scamander initials nameplate there. But the big thing of this set is that you can pull this open, and you can then pop up this ladder, which represents how they get out of the case, and then you can put the roof up here in the little interior section, and then you can pull this open just like that, and then you've got your suitcase, which is bigger on the inside than it was on the outside. Once it's all folded open, you can, place the beasts inside. You can have your rumpant over here getting cleaned or whatever, or possibly making that little pile of in the corner. You can place Frank sort of wherever. I don't know, you could have him maybe flying in the big wide open air of the case, and you can have your Akemi over here kind of guarding its little egg. That looks good like that, I think. Especially for being the interior of a relatively it's very, very difficult, I think, to attempt to replicate the inside of Newt's case, and for this, or for the size of the set, I think they do a really good job. Over here we have just, a care area where you've got a cleaver, which I guess you can use to be cutting up this chicken to feed one of the beasts. I don't think the Rumpant would eat meat, but I think the Thunderbird will, and I don't know about the Akemi. And then you got a brush here, so I don't know. I guess you can use that to groom the beasts, and that looks pretty good. They do use some of the newer flower pieces in white to represent something. I don't know, unless that's supposed to be bird poop. That's the only thing I could think of. Which I don't know. Maybe Frank makes bird poop. And then you've got the little center hut area where we see Newt brewing the potions or whatever to heal whatever beast it was, towards the middle of the movie. And we've got the nice stickers here, just to create a little bit of wood siding. One of the other few stickers that's in the set is right here, and that's a picture of Lita Lestrange. And, it's nice to see there. We don't really see that in the first movie at all. And then over here we just got some potions sitting there, as well as a little gold bar. Maybe that's supposed to be Niffler bait. And then there are some little stairs that lead up to the ladder. And again, this can be folded all the way down or left at an angle to make it look more like in the movie. Obviously, you have to fold it all the way down in order for it to, fit. The other side of this looks the same, and you do have the ladder sticking up, which I believe I'll show it at the end. But I believe you can actually have the ladder sticking out of the case when you have it all closed up. And then in this final area, we've got some Niffler Zone, which, yes, there is a Niffler included in the set. The same piece that we get in the Fantastic Beasts / Harry Potter CMFs, but we can just sit him here, and it's really great to get another one of those, especially if you aren't a fan of CMFs, but, you're a fan of Fantastic Beasts and buy the set. It's definitely nice to be able to get that piece, because that is a fantastic mold. We'll see it up close with the minifigures later. And then we've got just some foliage build over here. I like the use of these elephant trunk pieces in dark brown. And this is my favorite little section of the build, where they use Craven the Hunter's neck piece to create a little nest for an Akemi egg. And there is also just a little bucket there, which you can use to transport whatever you need to care for all the animals. I like the use of the stones here, and again, you get a little bit more gold for the Niffler. First ever figures, we have Newt and Tina, and both of these are different from the CMF and Dimensions and etc. versions. They're both exclusive to the set. Newt's design is basically him when he's not wearing his jacket over that goes underneath, which is cool. And Tina has a very similar outfit to the CMF and Dimensions version, but she's just, wearing no hat, which, I think the torso print is slightly different as well. Her face print is the same as the ones in the Dimension set, at least. Newt's face print is exclusive, though, and I do really like this Newt face. I think this is the best of the ones that we've gotten. Tina's, again, it's kind of whatever. It works fine. And I believe it's been used for characters outside of Tina Goldstein. Her hairpiece is nice to get, because we have not, I don't believe we've gotten in this color aside from here. And I am a little bit weirded out by the back of Newt's torso just because they print a darker color over it. I don't know why. Haven't figured that out. But Tina comes with a teapot with a cover there, which they use to capture the Akemi, which there's no like tiny Akemi representation in the set, but you know, it is there, and it's appropriate. And Newt comes with his wand, as does Tina, and he also comes with a carrot top piece to represent Picket, his little bow truckle. So you could almost consider that another Fantastic Beast included. And we also get Jacob and Queenie rounding out the Fantastic Beast main cast. And Jacob here is actually in a very different outfit from the traditional version of him that we got in the CMFs. And he's wearing the little armor and helmet that he was wearing when he was used for a rumpant bait. Queenie just has, you know, some pink clothes, which are relatively traditional for her. Nothing crazy special here, but it is different from the CMF version. I like her face print a lot, though. Like that's a very good expression for her. She uses the same hair that she gets in the CMFs, which is just an interesting color for Lego pieces. And if we remove the helmet, you can see Jacob's facial expression. And Queenie gets no side printing on the legs, which is just a little bit weird. You know, you got the skin here, and it just doesn't continue around, which is just a little bit of a step down from the CMF version of her. Jacob, though, also gets his alternate expression for when he's not wearing the helmet. He has no chin strap, and I think that face looks actually like it doesn't fit the character's emotions as well, but I think that it looks more like Jacob does. And they do a back printing, and Queenie also has an alternate facial expression, which, you know, again, she has her eyes closed, and it looks pretty good, as well as Jacob's. Jacob comes with just a umbrella, and Queenie with her standard wand. And you can turn the hair pieces around. Jacob's does just look a little bit weird with the chin strap, but the expression on that one's still good. And as promised, here's a look at the Niffler, and they just did a great job with the molding of this figure. It's dual molded, so the nose and the feet and the hands are molded separately, so you get really sharp lines between that and the black. And the printing for the eyes is great. It's just, this is one of the best things to come from the Harry Potter line, I think, in my opinion at least. They just did such a great job with it. And when you've got the whole thing ready to fold up, you could fit a figure inside the folded up suitcase. You really can't fit them standing up very well. You know, if we attempt to close that up, we won't be able to. But if you wanted to fit figures inside, you could sit some down. There's a little bit of space there for that. But really, to close it up, all you do is make sure those clips lock together and close that up. And again, there you can see that you can leave the ladder opened up, or you can fold it downwards and then close that all up. And then there's the suitcase, and yeah, it's kind of a fun little feature, having the ability to close up the set and display it as a suitcase if you chose to. I think that it probably looks more impressive opened up, actually. I think I would have liked to see just a little bit more attention to detail on the suitcase itself, you know, removing the asymmetrical sections like that black or that dark brown plate there, or, you know, making this actually all just straight brown. I think if they had put just a little bit more into the design of the suitcase, then maybe it would have been a nice thing to display closed, but I think as it is, this is way better as a playset than a display set in terms of the suitcase itself. I think that the animal creatures here, these are great, and they look great on display as well. And the figures are nice. I think, you know, it's nice to get the whole main cast here, and it's especially nice that they went out of their way to make exclusive designs for all of them, which, I mean, I guess they basically just went out of their way to make sure that the CMFs were completely different. And again, the Niffler is awesome. Overall, I think that for $50, I think that this is a good value. I think you get some good stuff here. I don't think it's as great a value as it looks on paper. It definitely doesn't feel like it would be reasonable to charge $70 for this, even though it is 700-ish pieces. But, you know, for $50, I think that it's fair. I think there's a lot of detail that goes into the little individual builds, so I think that's kind of where you can see some of the part count get absorbed. It's a pretty good look overall, and I do like the set as a whole. I would recommend it, definitely, if you find it for $40 or less. I think that $50 is not too steep, but I do think that I wouldn't recommend people rush out and buy this day one just because of the price per piece. I think if that's what you're looking at, then you're going to be a little bit disappointed, but it's definitely got some stuff here, and it's definitely worth taking a look at if you like what you see here. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.